All right, it is once again Hit the Books time, part of the Hammer Betting Network, alongside the man, the myth, the legend himself, Joey Knish, producer Zach Phillips. I'm merely Brad Powers. Before we talk national championship game tonight, we'll get you a preview on the side, the total, any discounts on the money line, player props for both teams. I want to also talk about that we're going to have a special guest for the first time on the Hit the Books College Football Edition at 7 o'clock Eastern. We got Corby Craig coming on the show. He'll talk about what his thoughts are on the national championship, but more importantly, also let's introduce him, and he'll get you covered in the college basketball season going on. He's going to run Hit the Books College Basketball Edition. We'll talk to Corby Craig here in about a half hour. Before we get into the game, though, look, if you've been listening to this show or viewing this show all year long, I'd be remiss not to bring it up. Joey Knish, big Detroit Lions fan. I got to tell you this. Been following the Lions for 30 years. I got to say that has to be one of the most enjoyable seasons in 30 years of Detroit Lions football.
Oh, yeah, I tell you, you suckers watching thought we were going to talk TCU, Georgia. I'm about to give you an hour of Lions Kool-Aid, baby. Restore it, Paulinho. Yeah, I don't care about it. No, as you said, I mean, it's the joy and the head of like pretty sad that like one of the best victories of my lifetime is like a victory to go 9-8, miss the playoff, and knock Rodgers out in his own house. Again, the highs haven't been that high, but yeah, it was exciting. Obviously, had some Lions bets last night. You think? I mean, it kind of seemed like Aaron Rodgers. That might have been could have been the last one in Lambeau. Who knows with that? But there's the part of you that just is like, man. They should have. They were the best at the second half of the season. They were the best team in that division. And a couple of games go their way, and Joey K'd have a lot more money in his pocket. But best victory. Listen. I'm not managing the franchise. I don't know what you want me to tell me. The team was trash for 20 years. So I'm not that old, unfortunately. So I don't know what you want from me here. That there hasn't been a lot of highs in this franchise. So. Good one last night. Enjoyed it, and hopefully 2023. Hopefully Rodgers is doing a podcast or something, and the Lions can bring a lot back next year. Is Powers Internet still? I mean, the guy was 56K over there. It's like a little bit of a cold
network powered by Circa.
Oh, go ahead. I got you back.
I don't know what the hell it is. Ever since we had that blackout last week with the internet, it's been spotty. I don't know. You'd think, look, I was back in Ohio, in the middle of nowhere. I expected crappy, shitty service then. I must have brought it back with me to Vegas because I haven't had it for a week now. Unbelievable. I guess I got to upgrade. I thought I had the fastest. They advertise it's the fastest. False advertising. What's not false advertising, though? You get that? Little professionalism there from the host. Great advertising is our show sponsor, Circa Sports. Hit the Books on the Hammer Betting Network, powered by Circa Sports. Bet like the pros with the world's largest sports book right at your fingertips. It's Circa Sports. Experience big gap bets with the highest betting limits, better money line splits, lowest hold percentage, best customer service, and more. It's sports betting on the go. It's never been better. Now you can download, fun, bet like a pro from anywhere in the state of Nevada. Get your new bookie today at circasports.com. All right, Knish. Enough of the chit-chat. Let's talk game tonight. There is a big one. Talk about big. How about the big point spread? Historic point spread. It's the highest point spread or largest point spread that we've seen in the BCS and playoff era. Dating myself now because that's a quarter century of college football, the BCS and the playoffs at this point. And we find Georgia up, taking some money. Even see some 14s popping in the market at some of the sharper books out there. I've seen pop a time or two today. Consensus would be 13.5. A little bit of line, except you there in the Canadian watchers, 12.5 at Pro Line. Gotta love that. Georgia. They must have, speaking of poor internet connection, they must have it there. They're always like 12 hours behind as far as the movement of the spread. But shop around. We've seen some Georgia money. Want to hear your thoughts on the side. Have you placed a bet?
Yeah, we talked about it, and it pays to be a regular at the books. I mean, we talked about, I think last show, and this was 12 and a half, that kind of thought it would tick back up there eventually. So I'm not going to say it's a smaller position on some minus 12 and a little bit of minus 12. Nothing that going to write home about, but I thought it was a side I liked. And I think you've seen, especially in pregame, and again, how this plays out on the field, but Darnell Washington warming up. Konkey warming up. It looks like those guys are going to go. Again, how effective they can be, don't know, but definitely a couple of key players that are at least going to give it a go for Georgia. And on the flip side, Kendre Miller, again, running back, they've obviously got a good backup in DeMarcado, but what you saw with Michigan too is like, it's not the Kendre Miller to DeMarcado fall off. It's then the DeMarcado to who's net. Like, you can't give DeMarcado 80, 100 snaps or something like that. So you're getting to that running back 3. And that is what cost probably Michigan. Why we're not talking about Michigan tonight, because there was no Blake Corum. They had to give it to some poverty running back, 10 carry. He fumbles in the end zone. He looked terrible. So I think if again, that's minimal, but obviously Kendre Miller, one of their explosive playmakers. I doubt the reports were 50% at best. That knee MCL, that's not something you can kind of really play on in a week. So looks like the injury kind of laid out for Georgia. And I think, I think the 12 and a half was cheap anyway. And as Patrick Burns says there, when Circa's the 14 on the board and they're taking about, I don't know what the current lap led, but I know it's a lot. So, that is always typically telling of what the sharp side is.
Well, yeah, I mean, Circa Sports now is almost like the leading market indicator. You can sit on
especially college football, as you said.
And I think I didn't.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, again, the Brad internet is doing there, but I think different sports, you look at some of the bigger time books around the country, but for college football, like Circa is the one. College football, they are they're opening first, they're putting the limits up highest. So to me, if you're getting it down, like the sharpest people are betting at that Circa in Colorado. So if you're gonna if you're talking about hockey or something, you look at Pinnacle and that. But I agree with you. Like, if Circa's trading a 14, Chris up to 100,000. So yeah, I mean, if Circa's trading 14, that kind of it tells you a lot of what you need to know there.
I'm respectively getting a lot of hate in the comments from my internet. I promise I get the highest that I can. It's a Vegas thing. I've been on the phone for hours in the last week. I don't know. I haven't had, how many shows I've done this year? Hundreds of shows. Last week, it's been an issue. I know it's the championship game that everybody's watching, and it is sad. I agree. I guess I got an upgrade. Hopefully, I can cash a little bit of money on the money line. I thought was cheap. Hopefully, that little pizza bet that I made earlier today can go towards a better router, modem, whatever the hell it is. I'm not a big tech guy, but did you take advantage of anything? Because there was pretty disparate numbers, Knish, on the money line. Any chance you took any discounts there? I did. South Point, pretty square book. Kicked out all the sharps. I know you're not allowed to say that because they got the Hall of Famers, but I mean, that's just the case. I did bet there minus 425 when the whole rest of the market was 500 and above. Did you do anything there?
I had some a Georgia position on futures going into the semis, after having like a lot on Ohio State. So that was kind of the avenue I took there, but I agree with you. I know some other people, I agree. I saw you did it. I saw a couple others were shopping around the low minus 400s. And I agree with you from numerically, yes. And also, man, like the pathways for TCU to actually win this game,
very narrow,
just seems so slim. And I know, like people like, hey, you don't want to say like, hey, again, I know the common bettor goes out there. Does he want to lay a minus 400 or minus 500? No. But if you're playing this game 100 times, it's hard. It's very hard for me to see TCU winning more than I am. And it's one of those scenarios where like, they're coming off a game where you had to get 2 pick sixes, you had to fumble in the end zone, you had to have all that right to kind of win a sweat versus Michigan. And now Georgia's, at least a touchdown better than this Michigan team. And it's again, we talked about it last show too, with like, I thought Michigan was a very good team this year in terms of frontline, like top end talent. TCU and Michigan were a lot more comparable than TCU and Georgia, where Georgia's just, they've recruited better than anybody the last 5 years. And so now you've got guys out here. They might not, even some of them might not be household names, but they're high 4-star, low 5-star caliber kids that TCU just doesn't have. So yeah, it's tough for me. I don't think TCU can execute that Ohio State. Number one, they don't have the talent level of Ohio State. Two, I just don't think they're that kind of they're that game, against Michigan, they're handing it off a bunch. They hit a couple of explosive plays. That's kind of the script. It's not like we're going to throw it all over the park 50 times with a lot of efficiency. I don't think they can do that. So yeah, matchup's bad for me. Talent disparity. I just can't see. Can they cover 2 touchdowns? Sure. Can they win?
Yeah.
I don't see it.
Agree. I guess I see a pathway towards them covering. It's, more the same what they've been doing all year. And the reason, I haven't put TCU clear cut in my top 5, my power ratings, that even though they're playing for the title tonight, is the fact that a lot of the box scores don't match the final scoreboards. Michigan game being exhibit A of that, where, I've upgraded them, but it's still, I hate using the word luck, but when Michigan can't handle a snap on the goal line, I don't know if that was good TCU. It's just, just an inopportune time for Michigan to fumble the football, to say the least. But I did play money line. Do lean towards Georgia on the spread. Let's talk total, because this has kind of surprised me a little bit. I lean towards the over. We've seen opposite. We've seen under money come in. Are you part of the under money, Knish?
I actually, our friend of the show, Tailgate 10, I know he played over. I actually was Apple. I had, some 64s pop. I played a little under 64 when it got there.
What is the profit exchange?
I will, I will say I didn't totally expect, us to be seeing some 61 and a half there on game day, mostly painted 62. Yeah. I know a couple of totals guys that would agree with you in terms of, one guy I know that Sharp had this around like 66 point something. Another one was more 65. So obviously the game day steam, which don't get me wrong, obviously if you're betting and you're steaming a number on the national championship game, you're doing something right there. So, but I agree with you. Now at the current, I thought I was at 61, 62 was about right, and it's kind of traded on a little bit of that each way. So I think we're a ballpark. Gun to my head. I just think the game script will play out a little bit more that lead itself to under, but just raw number. If you're saying that over's got the more, I agree with it. So I wish I had a stronger take for the total that I'm more like much. I've got a stronger lean. If I'm betting right now at current numbers, it would be a Georgia play. The total would be a straight up pass for me.
Will S in the comments, any props, guys? I promise we got an hour here. I didn't want to, let's do side total, money line, props, boom, bang, before we even get to a guest here. I'm kind of trying to expand it a little bit. So I will say lean Georgia. So I will say this, how I attacked that. Obviously, took Georgia's team total over 37.5. I think if you get 37.5, and you should now at least be more available with the total coming down a little bit. I do like that quite a bit. Georgia team total, if you can find 37.5 out there. Not widely available. Penny's got it. What's your thoughts on that? Because that's a bet I made a few days ago.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. I would highly prefer that to the over. In terms of if you want to play an over, I would agree with you. Like the team total Georgia look would be what I'd be more bullish on, and shop that around. I know, we have to get the BetStamp Tech guys to get more, but there's more team totals than what we just saw there. And there's a lot of places start posting those. So we'll have to, Zach and Johnny will have to be working overtime this weekend to get the team total screen upgraded. But yeah, shop that price around, because that's one that you'll see a little bit more price disparity than you will in the straight spread total. With you can shop around for the best team total there. But yeah, I agree with that. I think you've seen this, and you mentioned it with the luck aspect of it. And again, they don't get me wrong, they had some, they had some great performances in there. But this was a team that middle of the year was like the quarterback's getting dinged up every week that they're playing against.
Yep.
They definitely would have lost to Kansas State in this game. And how many times have we seen? I would guarantee that there's been nobody since they started doing this, a preseason team that was, I mean, there was some 200 to 1, some 250 to 1. Nobody, when I'm shopping college football future, and I think you will attest to this, you never look past the first page, really, when it's national championship. Right? You usually don't look past like the first 5 or 6, because it just doesn't happen. So, for a team with this kind of preseason number, picked, a team that was, I think regular season win total was more 7, 8 at most places. Picked a,
I was lower than that. It was like 6.5. I bet, I bet under 7, and that was just an outlier number.
There you go. And so to have that type of team who didn't even, like, the quarterback who started week 1 isn't even the guy that took them here. Yep. It's just such an outlandish, season that you just don't see. Like, we just have not seen this type of thing since, I can't
ever.
I would say I'll go back to like when they started playing these, BCS and now going to the playoff, like, you just don't see teams like this get to the final. So, again, maybe I would say, the old the Cinderella cliche is probably, I would have to say, chances are better than not that it's up here, and they're just, I think they're going up against an opponent that's just too much.
Yeah, the old Cinderella's invited to the dance, but she has a curfew.
There you go.
I think the curfew strikes tonight. But yeah, let's put that quickly in perspective before we get the props here and our guest Corby Craig. I looked through it. Obviously, it would be, if TCU does somehow pull it off, it would be the largest outright upset in any national title game. I went back to 76. That's as far as my records go, and I included even those games when multiple bowl games had national title implications. So it would be the largest, outdueling the Ohio State 2002 national championship upset over Miami in double overtime. Preseason odds, a lot of people are saying 200 to 1. I look back at Westgate and Circa had higher odds than that, 500 to 1, 1,000 to 1. The largest coming into a season prior to this, Auburn 2010 Cam Newton season. They're ranked 22 in the AP poll. They were 50 to 1. 50 to 1, 500 to 1. I mean, this is historic. I mean, I guess unlikely national title.
Yeah, no, we'll have to take you. Oh, we lost you there for a second on when you were listening. All the good stuff, and now we don't get it.
Yeah. So did you get BYU, Georgia Tech, all that?
No.
No, you lost all of it, man. You talk about refunds with FanDuel. I need a refund on my internet bill this month. No, I was talking about, unlikely national champs. I mean, BYU 84, Georgia Tech 1990. Those teams are bowl teams the year before. TCU was a losing team the year before. So, I mean, this would be, forget college football, this would be one of the biggest upsets in the history of any sport. So I don't think it's going to happen, but if it does, look, if I take off my gambling hat, I hope it doesn't happen. I'm going to lose a lot of money tonight, but if it does, it's good. It's good for college football. I mean, at least gives some sense of hope to a bunch of other programs out there that probably haven't felt like they've had hope for 15 years.
Do you think we're trending that general direction anyway as the sport of where we can get past this? Like, I mean, you're going into a season where really only, it's very, very good comp there in the Leicester City, where like 3 or 4 teams have a realistic shot, like going into next year. I even think just the pool next year is a little bit more spread out in terms of like teams that can get to the playoff than normal. It just seems, and I don't know the reason, whether it be, the early impacts of NIL or the money being spread around. It just, and I agree with you. Like, you don't want these, like seasons where you're going in, it's like, okay, we've got 3 teams that can win it, and that's it. At least, you want a, especially if you're going to go to this, 12-team playoff model. I think the sport's still got some work to do where you're going to have, you want most of those teams with an actual shot to at least, be competitive and have some, reasonably entertaining games in these playoffs.
Yeah, I think that the greatest thing for parity in college football, step one would be the retirement of Nick Saban. That would be a good first step. I mean, a guy that's won 6 titles in a 12-year period, that would help. Although we might be starting, when we talked about TCU's, unlikely run, Georgia might be starting a dynasty, to use that word, because I'm here to tell you, I'll give you a hint. We'll talk more about this in the final segment. Georgia's going to be my preseason number 1 team in my power ratings. I mean, they'll have way more back next year than what they will this year. So even without Stetson Bennett, they're going to be preseason number 1. Let's get to a couple props before we welcome Corby Craig, and we'll finish up with some props on the final segment and some best bets and some final thoughts. Let's start on the Georgia side of things. I'll open the floor to you. Receiving, passing, rushing, anything, first touchdown score, anything that you really bet and still think there's some value here as far as props.
Yeah, I played a, these have been moving around a lot, but I like a DeJuan Edwards rushing over. I think there's going to be a bunch of carries to go around tonight. And you said, better number. It's mostly been high 40s there, 48, 49 and a half. If you can get that 48 and a half, I think he'll be able to, again, if the script plays out, Georgia has the lead. You're seeing they're going to be able to split carry. He should get, and it's a defense that, if TCU plays the way they do against Michigan, they're kind of an all or nothing, suicide type, run D, which playing is, somewhat of a similar schematic, there against Michigan. I think that gives Georgia a lot of advantage of seeing what TCU put on tape. They've seen a little bit more of the 3-3-5 than Michigan did. Then now you have the tape of what they did to Michigan to kind of corral their rushing game. So I think Georgia should be able to eat on the ground here. And again, it's a Michigan offensive line that got a lot of pub and was good all year. Didn't play particularly well against TCU. It's a Georgia offensive line that, player for player, right there with Michigan. And I think they'll fare better this game than Michigan's did. So I think Edwards will get his. I know the Bennett number steamed up a bit in terms, it opened 9.5. That now it's in the mid-teens. So. And with the sacks being taken out there, it's not as attractive. But look to DeJuan Edwards over, and think Georgia should be able to have a lot of success on the ground tonight.
What are your thoughts? One thing I will say, you mentioned it earlier, difference between Georgia and Michigan. I mean, Georgia's got running back depth. I mean, they got 3 guys where Michigan had 1 guy compared to them having 2 all season. So I agree with you there. One thing that I want to ask you about, I have some conflicting thoughts on McConkey, the receiving yards, over under. Guy that I really respect, tailgate tent, likes over. I actually like under. I don't think he's healthy. And I also think A.D. Mitchell, Arian Smith, they didn't have him most of the season. Those that
No, I'm with you on the McConkey under. I've played some there. There was a McConkey no. There was also a couple of these places are offering yes no on the TD. Our king of sportsbooks might have had no at a very very cheap price there. I agree with you. I don't think he's. I just don't. You can play as Darnell Washington. I can feel a little bit better about him. Not needing to cut all over the place and kind of being able to move it. Is that a
49.5 at the King?
Yeah, So it's an interesting price. Yeah,
that's a good bet. Oh no, is it minus 200?
Yeah, still
yeah,
I don't think the juice correlates there at a 12-year.
Yeah.
But I agree. I was in disagreement with that as well. Where it's just hard for me to. I mean, when he did play, I think even though his snap count was down a bit, he did play I think 39 snaps last game, but only 2 catches, minus 1 yard. And as you said, with the addition of A.D. Mitchell coming back, that now you don't. It's not like we're going to have to force feed him this game. And the other aspect of it is, I agree. I think Georgia, as we just said, will have more success on the ground. I don't see this playing out like an Ohio State game where you're going to have that many pass attempts and really need him in that fashion as much. So, I agree with you. I would be very surprised if McConkey got anywhere near to his normal target share. And it looks like Kendre Miller just announced that he's not going to play. So.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So let's talk TCU. Let's pull up some props. Is there anything to take advantage of DeMarcado? I know a lot of people want to smash some overs. Is there anything cheap there? Or I'm going to be contrarian and say DeMarcado doesn't have that good of a game, in my opinion. I think Georgia will focus in on him. Actually, if I'm going to bet a rushing yards prop over, it's going to be Max Duggan on the TCU side. Do you agree with that?
I talked to our, friend of the show, Hitman, on that earlier when he was the only thing that do I think Max Duggan gets the rushing attempts? Yes. The sack yardage concerns me. Where that's like, if you're telling me, I was looking around for a Duggan rush attempts over, and again, if this was the NFL style of statistician where you're not getting negative yardage for stats, I would totally agree with the play there. But
yeah, I don't like those prices, so I'm not going to do that. I saw some 27.5 earlier today.
Yeah, it's definitely taken some some money up on the over there. Where again, 1 or 2 big sacks there, and it's a Michigan game where he was this close to taking a couple big losses and made fantastic plays. If they're down in this one, he's got to pass. Does he take a couple extra sacks there? So that's what kept me off. The Duggan over rushing. I agree with Hill. He's definitely going to, get his fair share of attempts, but the sack concerns me there now at current. I did take there is some FanDuel here, player longest rush. I like the Georgia overs. I like the Kenny McIntosh and DeJuan Edwards. I know this isn't widely available, but I played some long touchdown over. Again, that's another one you got to shop around. There was 44.5 earlier. I think it's mostly 47.5. to 49.5 now. I kind of like that. I think Georgia hits a couple explosive plays here, and that's kind of really what TCU's offense is baked off of. So if you can get a longest rush there for McIntosh or Edwards, I played both. I can't get a ton down on these, but I like both those. And then long TD over again. There's another one you need to shop around, but I like that. I think you'll see Georgia a couple of explosive plays here.
Jason, Joshy in the chat, first TD prop. A lot of popular because you bet a little, win a lot. Anything that you did there, Knish? I'm referring to you not only because you're the sharper of the two guys doing this show. I'm not a fantasy guy. I don't do player props too much, so I'm going to lean on you on this. Did you bet any?
You know what? I didn't. I usually like to look a little. Again, this is one that if you're thinking that TCU can get out early, there's obviously much more attractive prices on some of the, the TCU wide receiver too, whether it be a Tay Barber in that 25 or 30 to 1 in that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the Georgia prices were kind of and a little baked in for me in terms of guys that could really, most of the guys that are likely to score there were under 10 to 1. So I didn't think there. I see Darnell Washington now actually got posted up, and there's some 2025. If you think he's healthy enough to actually go, but that's another one. Do I think he get his normal snap share? No. So I know the people. I like those a lot. I don't have an Arian Smith, if you can tell, a 20 to 1 there or something, a little sprinkle. But again, I think Georgia scores first, and just a lot of their normal touchdown scores are so they deflated there with the price. Hard for me to find too much value.
All right. Yeah. As far as hit the book audition, wait, what are your thoughts? Do you guys got me?
We got you back now. We got you back.
Yeah. Yeah, this is pathetic on my part, so I apologize to anyone watching. Let's welcome in our first guest, Corby Craig. He's going to be handling the Hit the Books college basketball edition. I will not be doing college basketball, so probably because I didn't pay my internet bills, or maybe I just don't like college basketball too much. But Corby Craig, we're going to welcome in, get his thoughts as far as football now, but also he can tell us what he has in store as far as the
Corby, I'm hoping you paid your internet bill a little bit more than Brad did. So that's whatever he's using there, I will tell you, as long as you're not using that service, we'll be good here. How are you doing, my man?
Can't complain. I'm in Birmingham. I was actually worried about my internet when I started hearing Powers. I said in the group, is this me or him? So hopefully you give me loud and clear here.
Yep, no, we got you good to go.
All right, perfect.
Thoughts on the game tonight?
Yeah, so I was watching you. I knew I was coming in. I was trying to see if I could hit you with some different angle, and I decided it's not happening. So I bet the under 31.5 for the first half. I think y'all covered basically every point that is possible here. I bring no value in this game. You two killed it. Nothing there, but I do, and I'm curious y'all's take. My thought was a TCU team total under 24.5. Georgia just seems defensive line wise, and I like the point you bring on the Duggan rushing yards. Sacks are going to be an issue. My thought was team total. He's going to be running around all night, and so I like the under 24.5. I didn't bet it, but I'm curious y'all's take on that.
If my internet works, I'll answer that. The only concern I have is I'm negative towards TCU. So you would think, if you're negative towards TCU tonight, you got to like the under. I just think they're going to be behind and they're going to be throwing a lot. And we could see something similar to the SEC championship game. And it just, depends on whether or not Georgia's pass defense can hold up in a second half of the game.
Yeah, no, I agree with it in terms of, if we were talking earlier, if you want to play the over, I like the Georgia team total over better. If you want to play the under, I like the TCU team total, which obviously correlates to betting Georgia in the game. But there was actually, and I saw Penny there, was pretty juiced. That's another one that we talked about shopping the team total. I know Willie Hill had some plus money on that under 24.5 not that long ago. So that's one. If you got PPH out, you got, Pro Line, you got, Zach Phillips' cousin, giving you a PPH out of Tim Hortons or whatever. Shop those around because you can probably get a pretty nice price there on the TCU team total under anything, around, a plus 100, minus 110. I mean, that's value right there, just scraping, Penny or Circa. So I would agree with that. If you're going to play it, shopping around there, and if you can get a nice price, hey, fire away. Yeah,
for sure. I didn't catch a little bit of the show. You said you were on Georgia, correct?
Yeah, played some Georgia, some, minus. We were talking last week that we thought the minus 12.5 would disappear. Honestly, I think it's a little more steam than we were, even anticipating there. As even all, it looks like it's going to 14 across the board at all the sharp books. So, this is one that, if you got maybe a few, if you're buying a coffee at Pro Line, they're still there. But I think most of the 13s now are getting eaten up.
Yeah, for
Corby,
sure.
I'm actually more interested in college basketball. Because a lot of people watching this right now for the first time, they're kind of interested in what your past history is and what your specialty is. What do you got going on as far as Hit the Books college basketball edition coming up?
Yeah, so with football transitioning out, we're going to take over Hit the Books college basketball, I believe Monday and Friday live streams. Just a continuation of what you guys have built on here. A great show that you've started. Season 1 of all of this. Yeah, so college basketball, we've been betting. I believe Fridays would be me and Moneyline Chad. And then Monday, no, that's Friday. And then Monday is me and Tom. I'm not too familiar with Tom. It'll be my first time talking to him, just like it's my first time talking to y'all. So it'll be interesting. But yeah, college basketball is just as Tom Casale, as Zach just hits me with in the background. I appreciate that, Zach. But so college basketball, you get much more obnoxious slates. Like college football, you're getting the TCU Georgias, you're getting the Alabama Auburns. College basketball, we're talking the Ball State Akrons. We're talking the nastiest, the nitty gritty. It's tough. There's a whole bunch of problems with college basketball with so many different analysis where bet stamp will come in handy. It'll be nice to be able to show where we're getting lines down on live shows. And so I'm excited. It should be a lot of action. There's on Saturday, you can get 130 basketball games on a Saturday. So a lot to talk about, and excited for that live show on Monday and Friday.
You got any best bets tonight? Because that's what people want, are picks.
Not tonight. Tonight, if you've looked at the college basketball show, if you've looked at any college basketball tonight, I think there's 13 games in total, and the best one is like Oral Roberts. So tomorrow I will be on the Ball State under for what it's worth. I believe we've already bet a little bit because I am one of those kids that are destroying the overnight lines, but that's me. So we hit, I believe it was 141.5. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but not a ton. This is a really dog shit college basketball slate to hop on a show. I will be watching this Georgia game. I'm in Alabama, so I'm rooting that TCU beats the hell out of Georgia. That's the hope, because my Tide could not get in.
Oh, wow. I mean, if TCU beats the hell out of Georgia, you're going to see me you'll be next time you see me, I'll be a little skinnier.
Brad's going to be sending, typing up letters and sending it to us from the show. You're not going to have any cable or internet. He's going to be, doing handwritten messages here. So yeah, I know your rooting interest there, Go, but for our financial sake, I'm not sure we can tolerate that one.
Any closing thoughts from you, Corby? It's been a pleasure talking to you for the first time. Sorry, my internet sucks here and it's a little choppy, but any thoughts from you to close it out here?
No, just I appreciate what y'all have built. I appreciate Hammer for even giving me this opportunity. It was a very random call with Alex and I, and Rob hopped on, and there's not many times I enjoy talking to other
Rob's
people.
never talked to me, so he must like you.
Yeah, there's not many times that I really accept these type of things because I just don't really love talking to most people in the industry. But you can tell that what y'all are building is genuine, and I cannot wait to just pick up the steam y'all have taken from college football into college basketball. Circa is a great sponsor. BetStamp's a great app. So it's just it worked well overall, and it's going to be a fun end of this season.
Well, we look forward to watching you on the Hit the Books College Basketball Edition. I'll just give you some advice. Be careful of running into Knish on Twitter or starting a feud with him. He takes things very personal, and he will come at you with brute force.
Yeah, he's in the Hammer family now. So you made a good decision there. So no, I look forward to it. I can't stop. Listen, this is what I like to do. I just want to see. Tell me who we're betting in college basketball. I watch the show and that's it.
I'm
not a guy who takes in a lot of college basketball, so I'll be looking forward to it. To fire in the bets and then wake up the next morning and see if it won or not. So
I got one more question for y'all before we end it. I know we're on a time crunch, but all right, it's the College Football National Championship, so it opens up the debate. What's better, the college football playoffs or the March Madness tournament? March Madness is my baby. I love it. What's y'all's take?
Oh, it's March Madness. I mean, more games to bet on. No question about it. Actually, Conference Championship Week is my favorite. I mean, I think that's the most profitable week, any sport, regardless, football, basketball. So that'd be my favorite. Hey, before you go, Corby, plug your Twitter handle so people can follow you on Twitter.
Yeah, so it is Keep Betting Co. So Keep Betting, and it's pretty easy to spell, CO. And then we also have Keep Betting News. These will all be linked whenever we do the college basketball show. But Keep Betting Co. and Keep Betting News everywhere that you need to find me. All
right. Well, that'll do it for Corby Craig. We'll be talking to you down the line, buddy. Thanks for jumping on with us here.
All right, perfect. I appreciate y'all. Go Dogs.
Hey, brother.
No, I like that. He sucked up at the end there after talking about TCU. Any other props you want to get into before we have some final thoughts here as we, game time here is less than, 20 minutes away?
I tried looking for, a bunch of, through the exotics and some of the other stuff on there and just, again, with the game script, I thought it was that I just didn't, there was a couple of places, here and there where I was trying to find, whether it be a same game parlay or any of that stuff. It was a game that I thought a lot of the prop stuff, and this is just kind of a microcosm of the market, was just relatively more efficient than I would have liked, and I had a stronger take on the game and was going to go all in on that, and then I'd feel a little bit better about hammering one side on the props. But again, it's tough to do that when it's one that hopefully Georgia leans on it, but I didn't have a ton. I wish I had more for the people here, especially some longer snap stuff. But no, I like anything that's correlated to explosive plays, whether it be long pass, long rush, long TD. Those were really the only exotics outside of the normal player prop stuff that I got into.
Yeah, let me recap what I did bet. I bet Georgia money line, bet Georgia, minus the 12.5 that was out there. Favorite bet of the two would have been money line. I do lean over a little bit. Favorite bet, that's not too exotic, would be Georgia team total over for me. I didn't play too many props. I do like McConkey under. I disagree with Tailgate Tent on that one. I just not sure that he's 100% healthy, and with two other healthy wide receivers, I disagree. I don't think he's the go-to guy like he's been this blanket for it's embedded all here. That's I did bet Duggan over, but I agree with you. I agree with you in the fact that Max Duggan, the sacks do worry me a little bit because I think Georgia can get pressure on him. Georgia alternate lines. Did you do anything with that?
I didn't. I'm not. I usually don't. This is one that when I'm playing alternates, it's more usually on think there's more value on these on some of when you have a full slate of college football on the weekend, you get some of the scummier games. I think you get some of the conferences like the MAC where you get more of like a random number generator score. That's more of I think where more of the value in kind of spraying alternates pays off. But no, I kept it simple here with the Georgia typical spread. So and if it's 56-0, I'll be happy. Hey, I'll that's fine with me. So listen, I hope that you can catch a few alts.
I prefer 63-0 as far as it needs to go over the total. But I hear you in that one. One other thing I want to mention, because I am the king of this. Never too early to bet 2023 season.
Oh, yeah. I knew.
I have not seen too many futures available. I see FanDuel did some Heisman futures. I didn't like a lot there. Waiting on obviously Circa, the post and stuff. Westgate usually is good with futures. Anything that you're eyeing up. I'll say this. Harbaugh. I mean, Michigan's got a very easy schedule. Blake Corum coming back. I think actually next year's Michigan team would be better than this year's team. But if it's no Harbaugh, that's kind of a big time negative for the Wolverines. Georgia's going to start number one. So if they're not number one in the future odds, then I'll take advantage of that. Alabama will be in the mix. Ohio State will be in the mix. Any maybe possible, I don't want to say long shots, but teams outside the top 4 or 5 that you're maybe looking to place a future if you get the right price.
We were yucking it up in the chat. One of the guys I bet with is a former Texas A&M player. There's some 80-1 out there. If you're looking for a team that's got a long price, that if everything goes right, what it would have meant. I think that's going to win? No, but they're going to have a super talented roster now. CU knows what they're doing. There was I saw higher. There was a Michigan FanDuel opened up 8-1. I saw a 20-1 elsewhere. But that's another one though that. For me to place it this early, it's something that I really, really gotta like. Because also, it's not as easy. When show sponsor, you can get down a big bet on some of these. If I want like a real position on some of the ones that are posted already, it takes a little bit more logistics. So, no, I didn't have anything that was like jumping off the screen. A&M one that intriguing at a higher number, but again, those are ones like outside of this year that we literally said it's like the only time it's happened that are usually things that don't come home. I did notice that the despair, like the prices were a little bit more spread out than usual, and I think that kind of leaned into like the season we had and kind of maybe a little bit of the trend that's going where. Now you've got, maybe, a dozen teams that are, 30-1 and under, as opposed to, a team going into the season, 2-1, then a 3-1, then everybody else is up there. So,
agree.
Yeah.
I think it is a little more open. So I'm going to shop around and see when this opens up. I haven't actually been betting too many title futures. Just hasn't been the case. I mean, outside of Alabama, Ohio State, or Georgia that has a really good price. They're trading 12-1 when, they're trading 6-1 and one book has them 12-1, then of course I'm firing. But this year I am more open. I think the Pac-12 is wide open. Big 12 with additions. That conference is open. Alabama's got some question marks. They'll probably replace both coordinators. Bryce Young's gone. Ohio State's got to replace their quarterback. Georgia has to replace their quarterback. So there's a lot of opportunity. I'm not saying that there's an opportunity for a TCU to make it again, but there's opportunity for, like you mentioned, 10, 12 teams to maybe make a run, at least at the playoffs. So I haven't made a bet yet, and we'll see with some of the prices. They'll start opening up tonight and tomorrow, and I'll tweet out if there's anything that I bet. Any other things? And one thing I do want to mention are Zach Phillips, who's been doing an excellent job all season, and particularly last couple of shows with my internet issues. I want to give a big thumbs up to him. He'll kill me if I don't say hit the like and subscribe button if you like what you see. Keep in mind, hit the books. College basketball be coming up with Corby Craig. Knish, NFL stuff. You're going to continue on with some NFL, and then you and I might do some draft. I don't know what the plan is. Maybe some off-season stuff, you and me. What's the game plan for you moving forward?
Yeah, going to take, obviously we've been, you yourself have been pounding I know, 15 shows a week there. Probably, a little slower here. You do some NFL playoffs. And then we'll see what I know for next season. We do some little spring preview stuff, a little, once all the conference futures and regular season wins are posted, and we can get into some, spring to summer conference breakdown stuff for next year. But yeah, in the near term, probably just a little bit of, NFL playoffs, and then Brad and Joey K can go, sit on a beach for a week or something, and then we'll see you in the spring.
Yeah. I will not be doing 15 shows a week, probably. Moving forward. That took a little bit of toll this year. We had a good season. I do want to get a couple comments in the chat. Florida State, yeah, they're an intriguing team. They might actually, for the first time in almost a decade, Florida State might be your preseason favorite instead of Clemson, although that game is in Death Valley, so I'm not sure there. But they'll be a preseason top 10 team, Florida State. Speaking of preseason top 10 teams, LSU 40-1. I could see a little bit of that. I think they're the second best team in the West. A lot of guys coming back. They already beat Alabama this year. LSU and Florida State play one another week 1. I would like to see if there's a book out there that, there's always that book week 1 that forgets to take down the futures during the games. And that would be one. Give me the winner of that game, and I'll fire in a future as soon as I know the winner of that game, because I'm guessing it's going to come around pick 'em as far as the point spread there. So, look for that book that forgets to take down its futures board on week 1. Do you ever find that? I have.
Yep. I agree with you. And especially where, and then, if you're getting the one that whatever wins, the other one, then you're going to get an inflated, whoever loses, you're going to get an inflated price on, now granted, then they probably have to run the table, but I think, as you said there, though, like,
you want the loser of that game? I don't know.
I'm saying that's what you'd have to have happen once you're getting that. But no, I hear you. Like, usually the national title isn't where find a bunch of the value on in terms of these ones. So I agree. I much prefer some of the conference futures or any of that stuff. But hey, now that it's opening up a little bit more. Hopefully, some of these are more live than usual.
Yeah, and speaking of opening up, I mean, it opens up earlier and earlier. As far as I made week 1 bets April last year, day after national championship game for basketball. They're opening up some big week 1 games, so it gets earlier and earlier. Season win totals are May now, so I actually, people ask me, "You gonna start on 2023?" Yeah, I'm gonna start because I don't wait until the 4th of July like all you other guys. I mean, I'm done at the 4th of July. It's vacation time at that point because everything's been up for 6 weeks. So unless you got some final thoughts, again, just repeating what, if you're coming on to the show here late, I lean Georgia. I think that Knish does as well. That's a preferred position there as long as you get under 14. Nothing best bet really material there. Any closing thoughts from you?
No, man, I appreciate obviously all the work this year. Good season. Enjoyed it, and I appreciate all the guys in the chat and people that are watching, the viewers and stuff. Obviously got a ton of good reception, and hey, nothing like some CFB, baby. So good. Appreciate all Zach's hard work and everybody that joined us this year. Because I think we both agree, like, we wouldn't do this kind of stuff if we didn't enjoy it. Like, neither of us do this for a living. So we, in terms of like the content side of things, so we do it because we enjoy it. And so, hey, I had fun this year.
Before I say goodbye, got to pay the bills one more final time here. You've been watching Hit the Books on the Hammer Betting Network, powered by Circa Sports. Bet like the pros with the world's largest sports book right at your fingertips. Circa Sports. Experience big at bets with the highest betting limits, better money line splits with the lowest hold percentage, best customer service, and more. Get your new bookie today at circasports.com. For the man, the myth, the legend himself, it's been a pleasure all year, buddy. Joey Knish. For producer extraordinaire Zach Phillips, I'm Brad Powers. You've been watching.
I forgot to mention the Jackrabbit. Jake just reminded me. You son of a bitch! You almost slid that past me there. SCSU national champ. We talked about that on the show. Hopefully you got Jackrabbits, baby. Come! I can't believe I almost went to. Thank you. I don't know, Jake. I went to some of your Venmos so I can tip you that because I almost forgot about that. I knew I should have locked you in the head on that one, but no. Yeah, great way to
beat my ass. But that should come as no surprise. I'm a big dog. I'm a TCU. I'm TCU. You're Georgia, Knish. All right, that's gonna do it, guys. We'll talk to you next year.
Sounds good, brother.